Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my dear Pharma Network. And we have an amazing guest in our studio today. Let me present to you Franck Mayet, who are not only the innovative, passionate expert, but also has a great, powerful experience in transformation, omnichannel strategies for big pharma, and customer engagement, and also team empowerment. So, Frank, thank you for being with us. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you, Natalia, for the introduction. I'm pretty glad to be here with you to discuss about those topics. I've been in this field since now, how many years? 15 years, trying to support the business achieving their goals in multiple different geographies and countries, which is a kind of tricky situation, but pretty amazing situation to be trying to bridge the business and the delivery aspect of things. That includes understanding the business, that includes understanding their priorities, their pain point, their customer, which is pharma clients at the end of the day, the HCPs, and trying to help them shape how they can interact with them at scale. Because what is difficult when you drive delivery of content, when you drive such kind of at scale program, is really to do the same for any single geographies and being able to meet the need of those geographies in as an individual basis while keeping cost low, efficiency high, and being really the key partner for the business.
I think this is one of the key aspects to be a key partner for the business. And the other thing is the transparency and understanding from the global to local perspective. Also, like the connection between delivery and the business is always like not an easy question, right? So there are very like I think there are plenty of advice how to succeed and what to avoid, but I think with your experience in this sphere, you can advise us a couple of the important ingredients for this success. So, what is important for this alignment? How to build this in harmony? What is important at your point of view? So, what are the important factors?
One, we can talk about that during days if you want. I think there is so many things and learnings that we can share. One thing that I've been able to recognize and acknowledge is that there is no one size fits all approach. Okay. Even if you are in a global team, and I think this is one of the pitfalls that most of the global team kind of fall into, is to think that their approach is going to fit the 60 market they need to support. It's never going to be like that. And now it's pretty clear that you need also to listen to your customer, your internal stakeholders in this case, understand what they're looking for, and trying to fit their needs while not trying to duplicate what you are doing. So this is one of the biggest learning. Um, the other learning I think is to be data driven. I mean, in operation, industrialization relies on data. So understanding if your delivery service, your content factory is efficient is always based on data. You need to first capture those metrics, measure those data, and also assess continuously if there is some deviance of those data over time. Because, when you start having a bottleneck in a delivery chain, you quite often don't see that. And it's better for you to see this upfront, be proactive on solving that, rather than having your internal stakeholders calling you and say, Frank, there is something that goes wrong. You need to react. You need to correct that. You need to be proactive. And this is a never-ending story. And today, more than ever, 4 years ago, we were not having all those AI framework that can help us being more efficient, spending less time doing tasks that can be automated. Nowadays, you can automate a lot of those tasks. You can spend less time doing things, and which will free up more time doing more things without compromising the quality of what you are doing. So always challenging your delivery, always challenging your actual process, thinking out of the box. What can I change to make it more efficient? Never be stuck in a box because of what you have done before. Sorry. Not, I mean, I heard so many times a remark from my colleagues or my team saying, "Yeah, but we always did that." Okay, you always did that, but have you tried doing things differently? I think it's really important to be agile in even in global teams. I mean, global teams needs to be agile as well. Try things, see if it works based on data, not based on what you like or you don't like, or based on what you think or can be good or can be bad, but really based on data. Because I used to say you don't know what you don't know, and data will tell you if it's good or bad.
I think this is like very true, and what I can see very often there is a kind of a mistake we are all doing when we are over trusting our partners, like us vendors. So like we very often are owning the data of this efficiency, but and sharing it on demand. Do you think these data, as you say, there is a milestone, the basement of this cooperation? It must be like a live data, always available. It shouldn't be done by on demand. What do you say? Is it like the data which must be available like always, and the same data for the both for the client and for the vendor? So this is the connection between them, right?
Transparency is key, I think. I mean, you can trust in your vendors, not too much the challenge here. I think transparency, as I said, is key, and data should be accessible on both sides. What I put in place in a couple of my experience in the past as a first glance is to have dedicated reporting for what we are doing. The reporting we had in my previous company can be the same for any type of company. I mean, it can be true for pharma A, B, C, and D, but having data for having data doesn't help. I mean, you can put a reporting in place, you can put as many reports as you want. If nobody is using them, it's not worth the effort. So one of the things I was pushing my team to is every day look at the data. I mean, and don't come to me to say we have an issue without backing this up with the data, or the other way around, saying everything is okay without having data supporting your statement. Because without those facts, it's just subjective vision of what you think because of the story you put in your head, which can be different if you're on the vendor side or if you're on the client side. But usually the data tells a factual story.
Yes, I can see that. So that's approximately like what I can feel from my experiences. Not all of us today have the very same relationship with the data about our efficiency. So we all sometimes more subjective about how we are performing, and this is the biggest trap and the mistake we are doing. So we need to be transparent, and we need to be, even if it is painful, we need to show the truth and to go to the baseline of why this is happening, to correct it at all costs, automating and make sure we can achieve the goals going through that path, right?
Yeah, just one thing. There is one word you mentioned. I just want to react. Is painful. There is nothing painful in knowing the data. I mean, if you don't know something, one day or another, it's going to hurt you. And I think the sooner you know it, and the sooner you can address it, and the sooner you acknowledge it, if you want, the quicker you can fix it, and the less it will be painful, as you mentioned. So I think it's all about transparency and recognize things that goes wrong. I mean, in the past, I was managing 7,000 requests a year across 30 to 40 different geographies in the world, from Canada, Brazil to Japan. I mean, Out of 7,000 requests, there is always something that will go wrong. I mean, nobody is
Can
perfect at the end
imagine.
of the day, and you can act, I mean, you need to acknowledge that to remove a bit of pressure about yourself. The mistake to do is not to act upon something that went wrong. You need to analyze it. You need to be factual. Remove the emotional part of it because it doesn't help in those kind of things. Act on data, see where there was an issue, fix it, and move on. This is the only way. It cannot be painful, as you mentioned, for both sides, for the client and the vendor side.
Yeah, that's like I know this by experience, not by only description. So that's very true, and this approach works actually. Why I'm using word painful because it's a human nature feedback. Like yes, it's not always pleasant to see that the performance could be better, and that's why it's not always appreciated from vendor side or the customer side, but I think we all need to be very brave to make sure like we going under that path, so we face the reality as it is, so we are not thinking opposite, right? So we are
But
taking it.
yeah, Natalia, we are all. I mean, if you look at all the buzzword we have nowadays in the digital space, we are talking about omnichannel. We are talking about being agile. We are talking about closed loop marketing. All of that are just about closing the loop. So that means you measure, you take the feedback, and you improve. Why not doing the same for your operational aspect? It's exactly the same logic. Omnichannel doesn't work without data. If you don't have data being fed in and being used to trigger what will be the next best action, if you want to engage with your customer, it's not really omnichannel at the end of the day. It's a one shot, if you.
I think this is very true, and I think one of these, the outcomes of this exact part of our conversation must be that whenever we try to get to more operation efficiency, especially in the digital content strategy, in the digital content implementation, so we must be data driven, and this must be the true data driven process where we are owning our data, we are seeing and communicating based on the data every day, or at least with some frequency which allowing us to control things. A part of data, what are the pitfalls you would say we might have in the process of the implementation of the successful content production operations? What are the other things would you highlight for us?
Yeah, I think in regards to pitfall and to add on top of the data, I would add another layer of data. Sorry to say, but it's qualitative data. In a sense, it's really measuring your customer satisfaction. I mean, there is a lot of initiative around customer satisfaction for your clients. So in the case of Pharma, the HEPs, but as a service department, if you have internal stakeholders, you need to understand what is their satisfaction. Avoiding or not having such kind of reporting and analysis will cut you from the real, let's say, feedback from the business. So you will see if you can deliver something fast or cheap or expensive, uh, but you will never feel how much you serve the need of the business, and you are there as a global. At least this is my motto. If you want, as a global team, you are still there to support the business. You are not in an ivory tower doing whatever something is isolated from the local business. At the end of the day, the business happened in the different affiliate, and you are there to support them. If they are happy, if they are well served, then the business will grow, and there will be more and more business. In regards to the pitfall, I think we need to think we need to stop thinking that everybody is different. When you manage a digital content factory, can be content, can be so content development, can be content tagging, can be campaign development, execution, deployment. Yes, you have differences between countries. Yes, you have differences between business units. But at the end of the day, those differences correspond to 5 to 10% of the overall things you have to manage. So you really need to implement a global aligned approach and allow this model to be flexible enough to allow local customization, if you want. This model, I call it local in the sense that you have a global approach that serves local needs. And this is what we have been trying to do in the past with my teams for content delivery, but also for online products like HEP portal.
This is very interesting because having this global to local or local approach, this is very important that you can have the clear observation how things are going on from the local perspective and how they are aligned globally. And does it mean like that we are living in the time of automation and AI? Does it mean like we can do it without having additional people deployed to the regions, to the markets. So to create all of this infrastructure with the business liaison managers or any other name we can give to these people who are connecting all the global to local infrastructure and creating this communication network. Do you think there is a part of automation which will replace this the human touch over there?
Yes and no. Uh,
Oh, good.
yes, definitely. I mean, AI and automation will remove what I will call non-value added task. Copy pasting document or simplifying the MLR process to to potentially do more with the same level of resource. Yes, definitely it will simplify and remove some of the people working on that. And no, because I think you're not going to remove people or you're not going to save too much in terms of who is doing what. You're going to refocus what the people are doing. So if you look at a kind of global to local approach where you can say, okay, global teams, business unit, and deliver or digital COEs focus on shaping the framework, focus on putting the process in place, focus on operationalizing everything and developing the content and delivering, executing the content. Local team, though, focus on understanding what is their client need because they know their market. The local people know their business, they know the regulation in the market, and they know their client. This is where they are best. I mean, as a global team, you know nothing about it. So, and they can, if you are able to automate and really streamline the delivery of all those content, campaigns, and so on, you can really free up time for them to focus on where they are best and where they should focus on. Really, client understanding, customer understanding, so they can help you and they can shape what is the best customer engagement strategy, what is the best customer journey approach for this typology of client, for this persona of client, for this product in this country. I think this is where, and I think it's true for most of the AI topic, where it's not a remove kind of role, it's more a shift, putting the machine in charge of the non-value added task and re-empowering people to focus into what human, sorry to say, brings still a lot of values.
Exactly. Exactly. So we, this is like the automation paradox. When we want to automate, we even need more people, right? So, but we will have more creative tasks. We will have, it brings us to the point that our operation excellence in the content production is pretty much connected to the excellence in omnichannel marketing and strategy, and we cannot operate blindly. So we need to apparently be a part of the planning and co-creation process and to become more experts in marketing before we start producing content with the content machine like called DCF or Digital Content Factory.
Yeah, that's so true. I would say, I mean, without giving names or countries or so on, in my previous life, the countries into which um, the digital omni-channel approach has been growing faster and has been most successful are the country into which those digital person, sorry to say digital person, but in most of the pharma company we label that this way, were part and sitting at the same table as a business, really understanding, listening to what their strategy is, understanding what their pain point is, what the opportunity is, and being able to speak with them at the time they were brainstorming, sorry, about that, in order for them to be at the age of the thinking. If you are at the age, then the rest is much more easier, and you can bring much more value. In countries into which this was not set, I mean, marketers were still going off track with some local vendors doing some local initiatives with no data back, with no value or proven value for those campaigns. And it was really hard to really shape and turn the business into an omni-channel customer experience uh, approach.
Yeah, that seems like that there is a lot in this connection, right? So that we are going to consider before we start thinking about the efficiency in content production. It doesn't exist without efficiency in marketing and understanding of the brand. So it doesn't exist. So I want to use our time to make sure like we can have a couple of advice to our audience, because some of people who will be listening and looking at our conversation, they never been in the situation where they had this centralized body of the content production and strategy, or they are in the middle of the journey of building that. If you will just give us even high level advice how to start, or what would be taken as an inspiration for them to be successful.
There is a lot.
I can imagine.
There is a lot. I mean, one first things, if you want to engage in such kind of approach, it has to be an enterprise-wide, let's say, approach. So the leadership needs to be bought into this change in a different way to engage with your customer. It has to become part of the DNA of the organization, because there is a lot of resistance internally in most of the cases where people see that as a threat to their job, which is not. I think um, I've heard that many times that people don't want to do that because they are afraid of not having job anymore. I think we don't. It's a mistake to see omnichannel as a replacement of current activity. It's just complementary of what is already being done, and in some cases, it's a way to continue to support brand promotion for, let's say, mature and late stage brand versus refocusing the resource on new product launch. Like this is where you really need to have let's say field force, for example. So leadership support and endorsement is key in organization to make it successful. Another aspect of what I would recommend is to really partner with the vendor you want to embark on this journey with. Uh, it's like everything. It's not a win or lose situation. It's in this case, it's a win-win situation. So you really need to be as transparent as you can with your vendor. You need to try. You need to try, experiment, see if it's working, monitor, and then change if it's working. You being afraid of changing things will never bring added value and will never bring benefit and will never make you grow. So it's really key. You need to be with a partner in this case that is keen to move with you, that is keen to help you, regardless the issue is, and can really drive this. You're on the same boat at the end of the day, so it's key for you to move on. Another aspect as well, I think, is important. There is really the change management aspect internally. So it's a lot of change in a company trying to implement omnichannel specifically for marketers, for business unit. So you need to work with them, make them understand how you can ease their life, moving on, how using a content factory can help them achieve their goal. And here as well, being seen as an internal partner of your internal stakeholders, because this is the only way for you to be able to expand the support you are bringing internally and to also have a strong advocate of such kind of factory moving forward.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't agree more because this is so much important to feel that this is a supported approach and to be not feared about failing or experimenting anything because we know like even failure is not our favorite word, but it is unfortunately a part of every experiment, right? So we shouldn't be afraid for that. So we afraid of failure, and we should be brave enough to embark on this journey in the first place. So let me thank you for your time, and we are so happy and lucky to have you in our studio. So thank you so much, Frank, and wish you a very fantastic journey and lot of experiments in 2025, successful ones. And dear audience, thank you, and keep up with our pace. We will be ready with another interview soon enough. Thank you and goodbye. The best of
Thank you,
luck.
Natalia.
Bye.